Abuse creeps up on you. It often starts with a question, a remark. Where were you last night? Why didn't you pick up my call? You know I don't like you when you wouldn't be doing this if you love me. If you hate me so much, why don't you just break it off? Go, leave. I mean, he loves me. Yeah, all relationships must have problems. Must be my fault. This is the turning point. You start making excuses for ill treatment. You truly believe that it is all your fault. Having witnessed and experienced mental abuse, I think that education and awareness is the first step to protecting yourself and others from abuse. So where do we draw the line? When does it stop being I had a bad day and said some things I didn't mean, and start becoming an abusive behavior, a harmful pattern? What does abuse look like? How does it feel? Number 1, you'll feel controlled. It could start with something that sounds relatively normal, like, don't go out, spend more time with me, you love me, right? And eventually escalate into controlling every aspect of your life. Sure, it may even sound sweet at the beginning, but it's not normal when someone tries to stop you from spending time with other people. This controlling behavior usually reaches its peak with financial abuse. They may max out your credit cards, use up all your savings, or make you transfer your paycheck to their account and then deny you access to it. Because the goal is to always take the power away from you. Without access to money, it'll become hard to plan an exit strategy, so you'll be stuck in a cycle of abuse. Number 2, you'll start doubting yourself. Have you ever heard the term gaslighting? It's a form of psychological abuse. The abuser will manipulate and trick you into questioning your own reality and sanity. You'll start doubting your thoughts, memories, and events that are occurring around you. Did I imagine all of that? Am I being too sensitive? The abuser will do or say things that they'll later deny ever having said or done. Over time, you'll start accepting their version of reality. Number 3, you'll take the blame. Abusers often like to pin their abusive behavior on others. You're making me. When in reality, you can't make someone hit or treat you badly. That's a conscious choice made by the abuser. But when you're stuck in an abusive relationship, you'll often find yourself taking the blame for things that the abuser does. I should not have done that. I made him angry. I should have known better. He didn't mean it. When they get angry or violent, they'll say that it's because they love you too much. Because if they didn't care, they wouldn't be so angry, right? Number 4, you live in fear. Unpredictability is one of the biggest red flags of abusive behavior. You will never be able to tell what sets them off. If you don't do or behave in a way that's acceptable to them, they may explode in rage. Something as simple as adding too much milk to the coffee or coming home a little later than expected could turn into a violent episode. Or they may punish you with the silent treatment, cutting off any attempts to communicate, leaving you in the dark. You'll be walking on eggshells 24/7, hoping not to upset them. Number 5, you'll feel isolated. You may find yourself spending less time with others, constantly afraid and anxious of outside intervention. Even if people you trust reach out, you'll most likely downplay the situation for fear of losing the relationship you share with the abuser. Because they would have convinced you that it doesn't get any better than this. You are not worthy of love and affection. No one else would put up with you. Worthless. An abuser's ultimate goal is to be in power always, so they'll break your spirit, your sense of self and reality. Recognizing abuse is the first step to turning things around, but it is of course easier said than done, especially in a society where victim blaming is so common. Victim blaming forces people to suffer in silence, and nothing good ever came out of that. In Malaysia, it is estimated that 1 out of 10 women suffers from domestic abuse. During the early stages of MCO this year, the Ministry of Women's Talian Kasih hotline saw a 57% increase in calls from women in distress. And these were just the ones that were reported. But please remember that abuse can happen to anyone, anywhere. If you or anyone you know have experienced abuse, it is not your fault. The more we educate ourselves, normalize conversations surrounding abuse, and erase the victim blaming culture, the closer we get to keeping people safe.